Ever wondered why critics argue that Muhammad fails the Bible's tests for true prophethood, sometimes in ways that seem almost designed to trigger controversy? Today, we're diving straight into the heart of that claim.
And I'm excited and honestly a little apprehensive to unpack it with you. For listeners, we're exploring whether Muhammad's words and actions from Islamic sources stand up to the Bible's criteria for true and false prophets.
Here's what you'll get in this episode: a deep look at the biblical tests in Deuteronomy, Galatians, and Matthew, how Muhammad's life and revelations measure up, the infamous satanic verses, and the so-called convenient revelations that critics claim betray self-interest.
Plus, we'll examine his moral legacy, historical errors in the Quran, failed prophecies, and round it off with a clear conclusion. So buckle up, because this is going to be challenging, thorough, and maybe a bit controversial.
That actually reminds me of Deuteronomy 18. It's often cited as the ultimate test for prophets. Does the message really come from God, and does the prophet ever speak in the names of other gods?
What's striking is how critics point to the satanic verses Muhammad allegedly recited words honoring pagan goddesses, then admitted they weren't from God after Gabriel corrected him. This isn't a buried reference. Islamic sources themselves record it.
Exactly. And Deuteronomy 18:22 doesn't mince words. Any prophet who speaks for other gods or delivers failed predictions is instantly disqualified. Muhammad's own admission, preserved in the early texts, seems to satisfy both conditions.
And it's not just a one-off. Deuteronomy 13 warns that even miracles or signs aren't enough if they lead people to other gods. Critics argue the satanic verses episode alone should settle the question.
Switching gears, Galatians 1:8-9 is crystal clear. Even if an angel brings a message that deviates from the gospel, it's cursed. Muhammad's revelations, claiming to be from Gabriel, directly challenge Christian beliefs like Jesus' divinity or the resurrection.
That's why critics say Galatians doesn't just warn, it specifically condemns Muhammad's message. It's not only doctrinal differences. It's a scenario Paul predicted and labeled under divine curse. This puts Muhammad's claim in direct opposition to the biblical gospel.
And the Quran itself doubles down. It denies the crucifixion and resurrection, core pillars of Christianity. So, from a biblical perspective, Muhammad's gospel is another gospel, brought by an angel, just as Paul warned.
Which raises a question. If the biblical standard is this strict, how do defenders of Muhammad reconcile these direct contradictions? Many either reinterpret the texts or question the authenticity of the Bible itself.
Funny you say that, because Muhammad's critics love pointing out the convenient revelation pattern. Whenever he faced a personal issue, whether marital, political, or financial, a new Quranic verse would appear, granting him special privileges.
Take the exemption from the four-wife rule. Quran 33-50 lets Muhammad marry as many women as he liked, while ordinary Muslims were limited. Or that awkward episode with his adopted son's wife, Zainab. Suddenly, revelations abolish adoption and justify his marriage.
Aisha's comment about your Lord hastening to fulfill your desires really sums up the skepticism, doesn't it? It's almost as if the divine voice became a tool for smoothing over every controversy or personal conflict Muhammad encountered.
And critics argue no biblical prophet ever received such tailored exemptions. These revelations look suspiciously like self-serving fabrications, reinforcing the fraud hypothesis.
After digging into the revelations, we can't ignore the moral accusations. The massacre of Banu Qurayza, child marriage to Aisha, and treatment of captives, all sourced from early Islamic texts, are cited as evidence of bad fruit, per Matthew 7.
And the historical and scientific blunders in the Quran, like confusing Mary with Miriam, crucifixion in Egypt, and the sun setting in a muddy spring, critics say this prove human error, not divine wisdom. They're foundational mistakes.
Which is crucial, since Deuteronomy and Matthew both stress the importance of a prophet's fruit and factual accuracy. Failed prophecies about the Romans, Mecca, and the end times seal the case for fraud, at least for those who accept the Bible's tests.
All these threats combine to paint Muhammad as a prophet whose moral legacy, revelations, and errors fits the biblical profile of a deceiver, according to critics. It's a pattern that seems hard to overlook.
So, 3 big takeaways. First, Muhammad's own sources document revelations and actions that directly violate the Bible's criteria for true prophets. Second, convenient revelations reveal a pattern of self-serving fabrication. Third, his moral and factual errors in history, science, and prophecy undermine claims of divine inspiration.
If you want to dig deeper, take a fresh look at Deuteronomy, Galatians, and Matthew. Read them alongside the primary Islamic sources. Compare the pattern yourself. Ask whether the biblical texts genuinely disqualify Muhammad, or if there's another angle you haven't considered.
That's a practical challenge. Examine the sources firsthand, weigh the evidence, and decide where they lead you about Muhammad's prophethood. Thanks for joining this critical discussion. Share your thoughts, and we'll catch you next time.